So hello again. In this video, we will use Firebase database in our React application. For that, I created a starter project, starter file. So here is I created header component, and added some styles to that component. This is my header component, header CSS. This is header JS. And I created header component. I added some styles to the header component, and then I exported it and imported in my root file, root component, which is app here. And in order to see this, we should run this. So in VS Code, you will, in order to run this application, you can open in your project in VS Code, then click to this terminal, a new terminal, and here will be opened a terminal. So it is in app with Firebase project. And I will run npm start. And this is our previous application. As you remember, we will use that. We will use, I left it because I want to use their names for our project later. So this is our header, yes. And now we will use here Firebase database. First of all, let's so what is Firebase? Firebase is a service provided by Google, and it is in the end backend, which we can use without writing any code. As the name implies, it's not some kind of database. It is a backend which comes together with database. And it also gives us a full backend app, a complete REST API to which we can send requests. So it provides us a backend app, and it provides us a database, and we can send a REST API. So REST API is what we did in previous lesson, where we send fetch requests. So this is REST API, to which we can send requests, yes. And to get started with Firebase, we first of all must sign up or log in if you have an account in firebase.google.com with Google account. So let's go to this Firebase. Here we should sign in or sign up. I don't have an account now. Let's sign up. Oh, I don't have we are signing in with Google account. Yes, we don't have to register. Now I signed in Firebase. Then we will go to console. Go to console and add a project. Here we will create a project. Then go to okay. Let's first create a project. Let's name it. Our database will be related with dogs. So dogs database. database and continue. We don't need Google Analytics, so we will disable and create a project. And then I will go to real-time database. There we will create a database and we'll check start in test mode. Then we will copy the URL and use REST API, Firebase. Then we will send HTTP request get post request to that. Now we created the project. Now we will go to this project. So we are going to use database, yes. So we should go to real-time database. If you want to implement authentication, you will go to authentication part and we'll go to real-time database. And here we should create database. Start in test mode. So let's add some content here. So here we will add inputs. Type will be text, and let's add a label. Label to that will be name. So here we created, this is our database. Now we will come back to this later. So we created now our database. Now in our page we have input, yes, name. Now we will create it. We will add docs information to our database and store them. And we can also fetch the data which which are located in our database, and we can render it in our screen. So I want to take this name. I will give here we will type name, and let's add bread group. Bread group. So for the breed group and inputs, and one more field. Let it be but for temperament. Lifespan also, let's add lifespan and temperament. We go lifespan. Put type text. one more field. Input. So what we have here, we have a field for name, for breed group, for lifespan, and for temperament. Let's add some style in order to look better. So last name will be form, and here form with lead and add display flex direction column, justify content center, and flip, justify content center, align items center, and add some margin top. Margin top 50 pixels. Okay, and we will here add button. Oh. Add dog. And here add BTN. And here we'll give some style for the none, and adding 20 pixels, and background color, let it be this color. "20 pixels, it's too much. Let it be 10 pixels from top and 20 from sides. And we will add margin top, 20 pixels. Okay, color white, font weight white, and border radius 5 pixels. Okay, that's enough. Now we will enter some data here, and in the end I want to send this data to our database and store it there. Okay, so let's first of all now we will here type enter data, and we have to store them in a variable because later we will send them. So let's create here variables for that. Const we'll use state, const name and set name. This is for name. So we will use state. We should import it. Import state from React and give us starter value. So starter value will be empty initial value. And we will create another for breed and set breed. Use state. It will also empty string. And we will create another variable for what it was, breed group lifespan. Lifespan set lifespan. The state so also be empty, and the third temperament. State and so we have 4 variables for these 4 inputs. We will store these inputs, but the user will type. We will store it in these related variables. And now we should handle the change. So we will in buttons, as you remember, we brought on click yes, on click to the button, do something. In inputs, we will use on change. When user change or type something, we will run a function. Which function we will define it here? So const on change. Let it try like this. No. By the function. Set name. Let's try this one. And console to the log, console log to the console name. Here is undefined. Okay, now let's open the console. Here I'm typing the name, and as you can see, name is stored here. Doc. Okay. We will do the same for other inputs. We will add this one change, Control C, and Control V, Control V, Control V, and but we will in name inputs we will set name. In breed inputs we will set breed. Yes. And in lifespan set lifespan and okay. Now when we click to this button, let's create a variable. So here, when we click to the button, const will send data. So we'll create a function, send data. It will be a row function, and it will create doc variable, doc object, where we'll have name, yes, and we'll have breed, and lifespan, and temperament. And then I want to see it in the console. Doc. Now let's try. So we will take data from here. So here, name and create group. This one. Copy, paste, copy. So, and this. Now I will, let me first of all clear the console, and I'm clicking to the button. And what's happening? Nothing. One. Console log. We created a function, yes, but we didn't use it. So we will here add button on click, and our function send data. Yes, send data. Now it should work. Add, and now we can see this our object, this doc object which we created here. This is our doc object, and this is our doc object in the console. So we name, breed, lifespan, and temperament. Now, now let's send this data to the database. So what we will do here, as you remember here, we created a database. So we will need this link. I'm copying this link, and we will use fetch here also, but we will use post method. So let's see in the fetch post. So in order to get data, we use this code, yes, fetch and the request URL. Then we are getting response, converting it into JSON, then getting data from this JSON. Because this is also a promise, we will wait for the promise, getting data, and log into the console with data. And this will, in order to upload, in order to send data, we will use this code. So here we will here write our link, URL link, to which we want to send data. Then we will write method will be post, but this method is used in order to upload, to send data, while the get method is used in order to get data from the database. And in order to send data to the database, we will use post method. And headers, this is just configurations, and body. In body we will write, we will supply with data. This will use data. Then yes, let me copy this here and paste it here. Now here I will put the link. Which link? Our database link. And copy, and we will paste it here. Then here we will so we should here. So let me open my slideshow. So we should send a get post request, yes. And example is fetch here our URL and database name.json. So database name.json. Our database name will be docs list .json. And here now we will here we are data we are sending is doc, yes. Then now we are sending post request. We are waiting for the response and converting it into JSON. Then we are getting data and working to the console. And if there will appear an error, we will catch that error and console to the log to the console the error itself. So let's see. Now we edit this data. I'm clicking to the button and success. So we successfully sent data to our database. So let's open our database. So as you can see, this is our dogs list database. And if I will open, inside we have one data, which is breed, toy, lifespan, name, and temperament. So yes, like this, we added, we send our data to database. Now we can fetch this data and show it in our page. So this was send data function. Let us create get data function. Const get data. Yes, and we will send fetch request, get request, where will be link will be the same. Control C, Control V, and then we are getting response. We are getting response. Converting it into JSON, and then we are getting data, and let's console log data. So like this, we will get data from our database. So here, if let's add another button get data, and on click to this button, get data function, get data, and we got this data from our database. So it is an object. So we receive an object with this is a key, yes, and this value of this key is our data which we sent. So and let's now we got object, yes. We will for key for const key in dog, not in dog, in wrong place. So here we are here console log data, and for const key in data, we will console log let's data key. So this will return the value of the key. So in this situation, so we are getting data, yes, and we see. So first, before we got this data, yes, and now I don't want to see this key. I don't need it in my page. So I just did like this for const key. I want to receive data key, the value of this key in my data object. So I got this object. Yes, I got this object actually. Yes, and now I want to use this data. I want to display. Yes. So let us create here variable called data and set data. state, and data will be empty array. And here, after here we will create const. So let's add some data here, send two more datas. So let's add this docs information, name, group, and add doc. I added. Now let's check. Let's see our database. Reload. So we added data, so go. So here, as you can see, we added our second doc information. We have two doc information here. Let's add one more. Doc. Certain, more independent, intelligent, brave. So add success, and now, as you can see, there are three docs information. And now let's we edit. Yes. Now let's get data. I'm clicking to this get button, and I'm getting three arrays. No, three objects. Three objects. And we will push this object in one array, and we will store it in this data variable, data state. So we'll create const docs is equal to empty array, and docs, no. We will create it outside of for loop, because if we will create inside, docs array will be updated and emptied in every iteration. We don't need that. So docs, we will push this data. Push. Now let's console log this docs array. Docs array and docs. Now I'm clicking to get. Let me clear first of all. Get data. And docs array is first empty, then 1, 2, 3. We have all three objects in our array. Now we need this. We have to store this data. So this is in this state. We will use set data. in order to update data, set data, and to which array? This docs array. Docs. Okay, now we have this data, and we will here add another div and data dot map item h1 item dot new get data, and we have here their names, yes, from our database, and we can add some more information for. So let's wrap root div, and there will be we have read lifespan, so let's use them here. Okay. And you can style it as a card, yes, if you want. You can change their text colors, and yes. So now we have now we use here database. We sent data to our database, and we fetched it and displayed in our application. So add heading. So let's here add style will be the same for this button also. Class name button. Now here let's review. So what we did, we created a header component which is which will return a div. Inside we have image and our title, and we created CSS file, imported it from here from this header CSS, and in our header CSS file we have styles, yes, and we imported this header component in our application, and here we created a form, and we added inputs, 3 inputs, 4 inputs, and on change we are storing these inputs in our these values, name for each values, and after on click here we added a button, yes, and on click to the button we will call this function. What this function will do, this function will first of all create a doc object, const doc, and we set key value, and then we can remove this console, we don't need now, and we are sending post requests, and inside of fetch we will write our link, which we take it from, which we took it from a database we just created. Here we will copy this link, yes, and here I wrote the database name, docslist.json. Then as a second parameter, I'm sending my data, yes, method post headers, and here in body I'm sending this dog object which we created, and then here we are logging to the console. So the important part is this one, yes. And after by clicking this button, we are sending data to the database. And if we click to this get data button, we will fetch data from our database. So get data function will be called, and it will fetch data from this URL. This is URL is same as this URL, and then we are getting the response, converting it into JSON. Then we are getting data and logging to the console this data. We can remove console log. And what we did, we created a docs array, which is first at the beginning empty, and with for loop we iterated every these keys, yes, and first of all this key, then this key, and we pushed to our docs array the data, the value of this key from our data which we received. And then when we finished iterating, we filled this docs array with all the data from this database. After that, we are setting our data, this data state with this docs array. Why we are doing set data? Why we need? Because we cannot use this docs array outside of this function. For example, if I want to, I want to console log this docs array. Yes, docs. We will get an error saying React does not recognize the add button prop. Oh no, this is another function, another error. Does not recognize add button prop and DOM element intentional to appear. Lowercase at btn. Where class name add button. What's the problem? I added in my header Control X in my header CSS, but I have to edit in. I'm now in app.js, so I need to use this app CSS. So I'm reloading the page, and as you can see, doc is not defined. So as I said, we cannot use the variable which is created inside of a function. Okay, if you want to learn about this, you can write to the Google scope JS. So it means that variables created inside of function is available only inside of a function, and because we need a docs array outside of the function, that's why I created data state, then which is first at the beginning initially it is empty, and then I'm just setting this data with this docs array, and here I can see this data. So it's empty, yes, get data. Now it is not empty, it's filled with data. And here we are receiving an error. Let's reload, get data, an error which is key prop. Let's fix that. So where we are mapping, yes, here we should get key value. Key, it will be item dot. So what is their names are probably unique, so I will use their name. And let's reload, get data, and we are not seeing this error. So this is all for database. I hope it was interesting and it was useful for you. You can refer to this video, to this lesson in your final projects. Okay, so good luck in your final projects. And if you have questions, you can ask in OCS, and also you can send me an email to Saifal Bakirova. So let me write here. If OCS. To this. Yes. You can write it, give your questions here or on OCS. Okay. Good luck in your final projects. See you.